Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Just Let Me Touch the Trees. I'm Sarah, and I'm so excited for you to be here with me. Technically, this is the second time that I have recorded this, but that's okay. Um, this is just a moment for me to come and sit and talk with you guys about different topics and subjects that I have been, you know, processing on my own healing journey and things that you have reached out to me to talk about. And I often find that a lot of my answers come when I'm in nature or if I need to recenter myself or anything like that. And the title for this came about because it's a phrase I use often when I'm having a bit of a bad day or anything like that. And I just like, man, I just need to touch some trees. Just need to touch some trees. And so um, the original place where I had wanted to do the first episode, but I had audio problems, was when I was back visiting in the US. It's a family plot of land that is one of the most peaceful places I've ever been. But now, this time around, I am back in the Amalfi Coast on the Sorrentine Peninsula, and this is essentially my little terrace that I have in the house I'm staying in with a friend. And behind me is a really beautiful big tree that if I need to right away, I come out here and I just hang out with her. And so uh, this last trip, and I talked about recentering in nature, and this last trip back, I think it's only fitting too that we're going to be coming up on another eclipse here on Sunday, and it seems that, like, as the universe does its best always to make those kinds of things fall into place and synchronicities. This last trip back to the U.S., it was a lot of closing cycles and really just kind of, I don't want to say tying up loose ends because they weren't loose ends; they were things in my life that had been open, and then it was time to really just process it, work through it, so then I can move on to this next part of life. And so um, that's kind of what that was the last few weeks of my journey there. And I guess my intention coming in here to share with you guys weekly, that's what I plan to do, is to have a topic that we can kind of discuss and talk about. And I'm going to be very open and honest and as authentic with you guys as possible to my own personal experiences, because I think that like anything other than authenticity doesn't, I just don't see the point in it. So um, the importance of closing cycles, I think, and I think some of us sometimes still have certain pieces and parts of our lives that are still kind of, I don't want to say pending, but they're kind of like hanging out because maybe we don't necessarily want to face those things again, or um, it's really heavy. For example, for me, one of the things that I had to do this trip back home was to move out of a storage unit that I had for about 3 years, actually 3 years in like 3 days. And it was a really big moment for me in the sense that, your body remembers things in your life, and especially traumatic things, right? And so that moment when I had to, it was the end, and the whole space was empty, this little 10 by 10 box that I remember when I was instantly remembering when I moved in that day 3 years ago, which was one of the very worst of my whole life. And I remember thinking, filling up that 10 by 10 space and thinking, and just really, that there's a really big weight there, thinking that my whole life fits into this 10 by 10 square box. Is that all I'm worth, right? And I know that can be a really severe thing to think about or reflect on, but I think it's also important for us to really, like, understand that those deep feelings and some of those really difficult feelings are really part of the human experience. And one of the things that I intentionally did before I left was to sit down in that storage unit and let myself feel what my body was remembering, right? Let myself feel that moment when I thought that's all my life was worth, was this 10 by 10 space. And um, in order to really move through it and close that chapter of my life, I needed to feel it, right? I needed to be present in that really heavy, sad grief, anger, bitterness, all of the emotions that a person can feel when they're going through something really hard and difficult. And it was a really beautiful moment in the end for me, because I was also able to reflect on how far that I have come since that moment 3 years ago. And um, also that healing is always a process, right? We always look for things to be super linear and straightforward, and it's never it's never going to be like that. The cycles happen in their own time, and they overlap, and sometimes we don't even know that we're carrying that forward with us, right? We don't even know that it's energy that we're still carrying around. And that was just one piece, one example of my trip home, um, this time around, was that I needed to really look at some of those energetic ties that were still kind of waving in the wind, so to speak. And I I really feel very whole coming back now. I've been back um, in Italy for um, almost a week now, and I've I really do actually feel lighter. I don't know if that makes sense, but um, I got in the habit while I was back, when I, had a really particularly difficult moment, to kind of do this exercise in the mornings. I mean, I have a whole morning ritual and things like that, but I also invite you guys to do this too, if you're so inclined, if it feels like something that aligns with what you want, what you're looking for. But I would ask myself three separate questions, and I would start with, what am I holding on to that I should set down? What am I holding on to that I should set down? And then when I would reflect on that, I would then ask myself, okay, where am I resisting in my body what I should set down? Knowing and identifying those things that you know, don't need to take with me into the next part of my life, right? Um, and so what am I resisting, and where do I feel that resistance in my body, right? So what am I holding on to that I should set down? What is it that I'm resisting, and where do I feel that resistance in my body? And for me, it was a very concrete and actionable way to really kind of connect with old parts of myself that I didn't sometimes want to look at anymore, or I didn't realize I needed to look at anymore. I think uh, it was a surprising thing to me that um, not just the moving out of the storage unit, but also looking at, because I got rid of a lot of things that I really just, some of it I just didn't even know why I was holding on to it. Like, why, what attachment do I have to this that I don't need to carry anymore? And I was really ready to let go of a lot more things, because of this exercise. And so maybe this is helpful for you, maybe it isn't, but I'm going to invite you right now to first take a deep breath in for 3 counts. and hold it for 3, and then exhale on a 3 count. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, and hold. 1, 2, 3, and exhale. 1, 2, 3. Now that we hopefully feel a bit more centered, if you're outside in nature, where I'm making it's a compromise because of time and things and life since being back, but I got the tree behind me here and just kind of connect with the leaves. And now I want you to sit and think about, what is it that I am holding on to that I should set down? I find it helpful to write those things down. But that's not like a requirement. Some people are they have different ways of processing them. I'm just sharing with you what I like to do. Um, Now, what is it that you're resisting about setting this particular thing down? And then where do you feel that in your body? Do you feel it in your heart space? Or maybe you feel like your voice isn't heard, so you feel it here in your throat? Or maybe you felt like you are powerless in a situation, so you feel it here in your solar plexus. It's different for every person. I know for me, I carry a lot of my grief in either my heart space or in my sacral chakra because I'm a very creative person. Um, and that's a story for another time as to why some of the traumas of my life come from rooted in my creativity. Um, but it's just really an example to let you guys know that it's just being aware of who who you are, how you feel, and what that means for your body and how your body remembers things. And I encourage you to really let go, set down those things that you really don't have to carry forward. And it's actually because we have the new moon on Sunday with a partial solar eclipse. Like, this is the perfect moment, the absolute perfect moment for you to set down whatever it is that you don't need to take with you into this next moment. And then once you clear that out, once you let that go, make the biggest wishes for your life. Like, what are your real deep desires? Um, and I hope that I invite you to really, really think about how we close out cycles and what that means, and why it's important. Um, because our energy is a sacred thing, and we really lean into healing, and it happens really, really deeply at a foundational level when we do the work to face some of the things that we have been avoiding, to move through them, to close that energetic cycle, to forgive things, to forgive ourselves. Um, and I really find that that is helpful when I am surrounded by nature. So that's going to be the goal, obviously, for the following episodes of this chat with you. And I want to try to be in a different place each time because I just really love connecting with Mother Nature. She's the best medicine, honestly. Um, and I hope you will join me. If you would like to subscribe, you can subscribe below. You can follow me on Spotify, or my Instagram. All of that information, those links and handles are down below in the comments and description. And I definitely recommend going out and touching a tree whenever you can. And I would love to hear any feedback that you guys have, what you think you might be looking for, topics, all of those things. I already know what I would like to talk to you about next week. And I hope that you will like it. Um, And I think that that is all I have for you guys today. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day, weekend, eclipse, all of those things. And just remember to be gentle with yourself. We are all on our own journey, and you really need, you really just need to trust yourself. That's all. You're the most important person in your own life. And I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And I will see you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.